I was just watching Blender today, at least half of it, until I had to go on my way to get to work here. And there was this forklift going and doing stuff, super noisy, always nice. There was this amazing story that Pablo Vazquez was telling about the Blender crew's visit to SIGGRAPH. So they're just back, landed yesterday, a very exciting story, and his backpack was stolen. And that was just such a shame. Backpack, of course, contains everything you need, including your most precious asset these days, the laptop. And it was a tragic story, but he was all extremely upbeat and positive about it, because I guess so his camera was missing, and his laptop was gone. A terrible ordeal when that happens abroad in a foreign country and all that. But he was super positive and upbeat about it, and I really appreciate that about Pablo. It's just so cool that, you know, he's just like that. And the inspiring thing that I thought was when they went to SIGGRAPH, and I guess they must have told the story to some of the people that were exhibiting there, and one of them was Box with double X, Box. And the guy from Box, one of the guys from Box, they gave him a brand new laptop. And I forgot the model number. He showed it on the screen, the SM something or other, NVIDIA RTX laptop, 32 gig of RAM, i9 processor. Oh my God, it's just $4,500. It is one of those laptops that you think, oh my God, please give me that. And I just thought it was just so generous of Box to give him that as a replacement. Here, you need a laptop fast, here's one. You can't work without a laptop. And he got one of those, and it's just such a cool story. I love it. I absolutely love it when that happens. And it just shows me there's a higher power at work that just evens out the table. So yeah, shit happens sometimes. Your laptop and your backpack does get stolen, but it's sort of course correcting. Obviously Pablo cannot be without a laptop, and it's not because he needs to check Facebook all the time, it's because he needs to do serious work for the Blender Foundation. So it's just so cool that happened. I'm so super happy for him. So yes, I was moved by that story, and I thought I'll tell you this because I like inspiring stories like that. So it happened, I was watching this on my monitor on the right while I was playing with something that Steve was posting, I guess this morning or something, or maybe yesterday evening on our Discord server. And that had to do with the user who created a freebie on Renderosity, and he extracted by some magic or other a HDRI out of Obduction. And that was an inspiring process. I thought I need to test that immediately, and he didn't describe how exactly he did it. It works by the magic of NVIDIA's Ansel thing. I've heard a lot about Ansel, and Ansel, I suppose, named after Ansel Adams, the photographer, and it's just a built-in thing in the NVIDIA driver that lets you, in specific games, that lets you kind of freeze the game and free walk around with the camera, or at least be in that spot that your character is currently in the camera, and take a picture of the background. And why is that important? Why is that exciting? Why can't we just take a screenshot and be done with it? And well, yeah, there's that functionality as well, but if you kind of pause the game and just immerse yourself in the game engine or in the game environment at that point, it is, whoa, that was such an old car. It's a beautiful thing. I know nothing about cars, but that's one of those old-timer type things, Chevrolet type things with big fins. And anyway, so you can, when you freeze the game engine, it means you have other processing capabilities, and one of them is that you not just only can take a regular rectangular 16:9 picture, you can also take a stereoscopic picture, for example, or you can take a 360 picture, which is exactly what that engine offers. And also you can increase the resolution and just let the thing render whatever resolution you need. I remember back in the days when I was using the original Xbox, the original Microsoft Xbox, there was something that was clearly rendered with the assets from the game for print back in the day, when we used to buy magazines and all that, crazy as it may sound. We needed a higher resolution at 300 dpi and all that, and they had extracted images from the actual game at a much higher resolution. And I was always wondering how that works, what you need to do for that. Well, I suppose the engine itself, if you render something with some kind of trickery, you can just render at high resolution, as high resolution as you want. And that is exactly how Ansel works. So you can literally say, take a regular picture and give it the resolution that you like, or you can say render a 360 picture and give me a resolution of whatever. And I think the highest one, I think they call that the super resolution, obviously increases the file size, takes a little bit longer to render, is super resolution. It's 63,000 by 32,000 pixels, so high, that's just absolutely mind-blowing. And it's fascinating to see how the engine takes the picture. So it does render individual tiles, and you see parts of them on the screen as it does that. And it happens fairly fast because it's all real time, really. It just takes those things and then stitches them together, I guess, to arrive at that high resolution. And then it's just a matter of stitching that together or overlaying that in Photoshop to create a regular HDRI, like a HDR Pro format, I guess they call it. There is an option to take an EXR image directly out of the Ansel engine, but with my driver that doesn't seem to work. So I get almost a black picture. It's not just black, so it does do something, but it's so unbelievably underexposed. It's literally, crazy guy, it's literally difficult to see anything or do anything with it. So there's nothing you can do with levels. It's just so bad that in a kind of a moonlit night scene, all you really see is a tiny gray blob in the sky, and that is the moon. And you think, yeah, that's just crushedblacks.com / that didn't work so well. So yes, that is what I've been playing with, and I think that's it's just something that is very inspiring for us to create lighting sources or light sources without having to go out in the field and capture reality as such. If we have something that's built in a computer, we can just turn that into reality. Awesome. I don't know what the legal situation of such ventures is, of course, but if I remember correctly, then as long as the game company doesn't have a problem with you streaming the game, I suppose then it'll be okay to create assets from the game that are literally two-dimensional. I don't know, it's something to be checked into. Technically it is, of course, the company's assets, but at the same time, if you don't show the actual background and literally only use it as a light source in your own scenes, maybe it's okay, because technically no one can really say, hey, this is how and where you've extracted the lights from. I don't know, gray area, I guess. So it's probably not something we should be selling, but it is certainly something that we can create. So if I get this working, I'm very happy to share how I've done it. That's the user on Renderosity has not done that. He just said, yeah, the tools are out there, without saying what they are. That's not really helping. But yes, so it is probably possible to do that. So speaking of sharing things, I've had some thoughts about the 3D Shenanigans live streams. It's one of those things I've been noticing that with the limited time that I have available, what is it that's costing the most time and what is the most work to get it right? And sadly, I've come to the conclusion that it's the 3D streams. It's not that I dislike doing them, but them being live, there's a few things that for me personally are not quite working right now. And one of the things that I dislike about the 3D streams is the fact that I can't get involved in the discussions. And I suppose that's just the nature of the thing. If it's a video game, it's really easy to not prepare and not really think about what's going on, because the story is kind of there to unfold. So no matter if I know the game or if I don't know the game, that's not really a problem, and it's all about the audience interaction. And you know, that's, well, we're hanging out in game streams, so that's good. But with the 3D streams, usually for them to be useful to anyone, it is probably better if I prepare. And I usually do that. The few times where I didn't do that, it really didn't work well for me. Even though the stream came out okay, I just didn't feel comfortable, and it's not something, I don't like flying by the seat of my pants. So that's one thing. If I'm focusing on something, the preparation takes a lot of time, and the subject matter is slightly dense, then I don't get to interact with the audience that much. So there's a way I can maybe change that. I'll look into that. I was going to look into that last Friday. Just, you know, I just didn't have enough time, and so that's kind of the issue there. That preparation for those live streams takes a lot of time. So as opposed to game streams, which takes literally no time, it's all a matter of making sure the correct metadata is in the places, and then you just start, and whatever happens in the game happens in the game. But that's not quite the case with the 3D streams. So I was thinking, one way is that I'll probably switch off the chat overlay, because that is something that does get in the way. Even though I like to retain the chat, perhaps you know, the chat is something we should see as separate from that. So, you know, since I can't get involved, it begs the question, is it actually worth doing these things live? Or should I just do something as an upload and we do it as a premiere every Friday? The advantage of that is that it takes the pressure off me, and it means I can still be there in the live chat interacting with the audience when this goes out live. It still encourages me to do something that'll be ready on Friday at 4 o'clock. And it's kind of an almost live thing. So it's just not as live. So I'll still be there to answer questions, and in this instance I can actually take care of the audience. And you know, if people want to make donations, they can still do that while they're still there live. That's also no problem. But it really does take the pressure off me having to have something ready to go at 4 o'clock. That really does introduce complications every once in a while. So that's my current thinking, that I perhaps change the Friday live streams into Friday premieres instead, and we can still hang out in the chat, and if we wanted to do this afterwards, we can head over to Discord, you know, something like that. I'm even open to things like Q&A sessions. That's a possibility, but yes, I think that is something that I'd feel more comfortable with. I'll have to think about it. The other option that I was thinking of, just, you know, throwing out ideas, is to cancel them altogether. Literally say, hey, look, I think 3D live streams aren't really as useful as well-prepared 3D edits and uploads. So I may just, you know, I may just do that. But if we turn them into premieres, I thought that's kind of a good step into the right direction. It'll still be prepared and edited if and when I have the time. But also, it doesn't mean that if something is only half prepared and half finished, I then, you know, it's kind of messy. I don't really want to cancel them. I like having this encouragement to have a regular slot at which we have to have a program by, so to speak. So yes, I think I'll leave that. I'll leave that as a premiere then. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I like doing live things, but they also need to, you know, I just have a feeling some people just don't get the difference between a live and an upload. Most of us do, but some of us don't. And it's of course the wrong demographic to focus on. You know, the people who kind of dislike what you do. Don't try and convince them that it's actually good stuff, and just therefore neglecting people who like what you do. But it is the latter group of people that I'm thinking of, and I wonder if it's actually beneficial for all of us as a community and as viewers, create a kind of relationship that I just do these as prepared uploads and edits, and then I'll just be there in the live chat and just do them as premieres. I'm glad we have that opportunity there. What else? there were more things. Oh yes, one exciting thing I did this morning, and I've been thinking about this for a while actually. It's a very talented, very inspiring creator on YouTube called LGR, Clint Basinger. Don't know how you pronounce his last name. Clint from LGR. If you're watching, Clint, you're the man, and I've just supported you on Patreon with a $5 monthly donation, and it's the highest donation I'm making to any creator right now out of my own budget. And I wanted to do this because it's an inspiring show. I really love his story. He's been around for just over 10 years, and he's been making lazy game reviews. That's how he started, and there's a lot of sarcasm in what he did when he was younger. And now that he's a little older, which is also not even 40, so don't worry about it in regards to being old, it's just it inspires me, it relaxes me, it makes me want to keep going with my own project. I find people like him very, very inspiring, and it's just wonderful to watch his commentary, either when he goes thrifting, when he cooks a meal, or when he makes his latest computer from the late 80s, early 90s do things that it was supposed to do, like, 30 years ago. That is just, I find that very comforting. There's something very, very comforting about it, and it reminds me of when I got started with computers, and computers have been part of my whole life. It's just wonderful to reconnect with old technology. It's not necessarily the type of hardware that I'm into. I like the vintage early home computer stuff like the Commodore era, but it was nice to reconnect with that a few years ago, and now I'm kind of over that. It's funny how things just come and go so quickly. Yes, so anyway, that's the big news. HDRIs out of Obduction or any other Ansel enabled game. Then the change in the live streams that I'm thinking about, don't know if it's going to happen on this Friday yet, or and it kind of in the pipeline. Just thought I'd mention it. And I'm supporting LGR on Patreon, which is just great. Yes, hopefully that with those restructuring things, I hope to have a little bit extra time for more uploads faster. That's always my goal, to produce content more efficiently. And if I spot that something isn't as efficient as it could be, then the time is just going to be used somewhere else to better serve the overall cause. End of message.